No matter what the image in your head has been, if you heard the word or what you've seen, this is what it is, and you can come to your local museum and you can see it.
Chicano isn't a category on the U.S. Census, but you can get a PhD in Chicano studies, muses actor, director, and performer Cheech Marin. Coined by people on both sides of the border, Chicano was a derogatory way to describe children of Mexican immigrants who, in their eyes, were neither Mexican nor American. Through art, small paintings in fact, the popular comedian is hoping to redefine and celebrate the term, which is associated with Mexican-American defiance against negative stereotypes in the 1960s. Marin's personal art collection is making its way around the country in a show called Chicanitas, Size Doesn't Matter, that opened at the Whatcom Museum's Lightcatcher on January 12.
It's very sophisticated art. All these artists are university and or art school trained. And they're exposed to not only other Latino art, but world art, so they go there. They're very sophisticated in how putting those worlds together, and it's trying to combat a previous prejudice without knowing what the art is, So, but that's been really one of the joys of my life, is to see that those walls of ignorance come down, and it's just showing the art. Oh, is that what it is? Oh, this is great.
So how did the boy who was born in East LA and grew up in an all-African-American neighborhood develop his love affair with art? As a schoolboy, hitting the library whenever he could to read up on the masters. I used to go to the museum and touch the paintings when no one was working, Marin recently joked at a Whatcom Museum lecture about the show. He was always reading about art and keeping his knowledge fresh. In the mid-'80s, Marin's lack of contemporary art knowledge led him to wander the galleries of LA to learn more. That's when he discovered Chicano art, which spoke to his upbringing and his knowledge of the classics. It was then that the self-proclaimed frequent collector of something took part of his Hollywood nest egg and began building a collection. Flash forward to 2001 when Marin's collection opened its first exhibition tour in San Antonio. It broke attendance records around the country and thus began a new era for Chicano art. His collection has been moving around to numerous museums, including the Smithsonian, in various curated forms ever since.
Well, I've done many shows that have toured the country, and what I noticed is I went to other museums, especially the National Gallery in Washington, and it featured a bunch of shows of small paintings, and I saw the reaction they were getting to drawing big crowds, and people stayed in the galleries for a long time, and they got very intimate with the works, and I saw that there was a communication between small paintings and the audience, and so I decided that I could put together a collection of small paintings and tour them, and play museums that are small, smaller museums. They didn't have to be a big deal. It took 10 years to put together.
Getting his show into museums, however, wasn't easy, and it took a decade to get curators to understand the work and get the idea off the ground. In 2011, nearly 17% of the U.S. population was Latino, making them the largest ethnic group in the country, a number certainly not to be ignored.
What responsibility as a Latino, as a Chicano, do you have to la gente to get the word out and build their reputations and build awareness of that art?
Well, that's what this is. My mantra has been, you can't love or hate Chicano art unless you see it. So this is the mission, to let Chicano art be seen in places that there's more of these kind of museums than there are any other museums, and they're everywhere throughout the country, so I could just keep traveling and traveling and traveling forever. And in order to get the message out of what this coming Latino Chicano tide is going to be, because it's going to be there's going to be a giant demographic shift in this country. There's just no way to stop it, but there's only ways to integrate it. So that's the purpose. And so the artists, I was saying before, are the advanced sensors of any culture. They sense change happening, and these are the forerunners of this message, and it's in the gentlest possible way that you could put this message in front of the nation. the world is changing rapidly because of the internet. It's one of the great inventions ever. I mean, since the wheel. I mean, it's one of the greatest inventions ever, and it makes information instantaneous. So I read something in the paper the other day that the only place in the world where there's wars are those regions that resist globalization and that still cling to a tribal mentality. And so the internet, it helps that globalization, because we are one world, and how to interact with everybody in the world and not be separate, be a whole.
Not a stranger to subdued excitement, Marin expressed his love of Bellingham's unique art vibe.
It's equivalent of playing clubs if you're a comedian. It's not stadiums or big theaters. It's small clubs, and that's what this tour is. It's small clubs, these small, and I could use up-and-coming painters, too, and discover new painters and put them in front of the audience that would heretofore not have seen them.
The Bellingham stop of Chicanitas is the first of only 4 engagements scheduled for 2013. The show runs through March 24th. Visit whatcommuseum.org for more information. Paul Nemi, KGMI News Talk 790.